the best seat in the house. I don't bite. You know this already. Sorry.
All right, we're good. We're good. Bear with me. I'm not used to talking through a microphone. I'd rather talk really loud to all of you, but because we are recording, it does show up better. The sound does with the microphone. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Helena Miller. I have a background in respiratory therapy. I am now a clinical nutritionist, and I have been in Gilead Healing Center for 7+ years now. It's my joyful obligation to help take care of people, and it's a lot more fun than being a respiratory therapist, I can tell you that. For those of you who do not know what Gilead Healing Center is, let me just give you a little bit of summary of what we have, the services we have here, because we find that not everybody in the community or even across the way in the church really knows what all we have. So we do have nutritional testing or muscle testing. That's what I specialize in. We have chiropractic care. We have Christian counselors. We have infrared sauna. We have foot detox baths. We have prayer team. We do have healing events here in the sanctuary quite often, actually. And so if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye on that, and you'll find that on our social media pages or in the lobby here in the atrium. When you walk in, we usually have something posted for those. So we're kind of I think we're a very special place. I don't think there's very many, if any, other establishments like this where you can get healing for mind, body, and spirit. And so that's pretty, to me, is very special. And I think it upholds what the founder of this place really meant for it to be. So I'm proud to be part of that. Like I said, I have a background in respiratory therapy, and I did that for 20 years because I was asthmatic. And when I was in college, I worked for a dermatologist, and he said, well, you're asthmatic. Why don't you become a respiratory therapist? And I was like, oh, I don't even know what those are. So I had looked it up, right? And so long story short, I became a respiratory therapist. I did that for 20 years. So I have a very, very good understanding of what sickness truly is. I have a very good understanding that majority of society today, at least based on my experience, get at or near retirement age and they don't have their health. They're on multiple medications. They're in and out of the hospital frequently. We call them frequent flyers. And you can confirm that if you know anybody that you know works in an acute care hospital, whether they're a nurse or a doctor or a phlebotomist, doesn't matter. They know what a frequent flyer is, right? Tonight we're talking about weight loss and wellness. And I'm really curious. I want to know what your definition of wellness really is. Anybody want to just shout something out at me? What's your definition? What do you think wellness really is? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice, right? Yeah. What else? What else? Yep, good energy all day long, right? Sustainable energy from sun up to sundown, right? That is definitely lacking in the community and society in America. What else? Well, let me tell you what we think wellness really means. It means moving well, it means eating well, and it means thinking well. Okay? That kind of summarizes it for us, and that's kind of part of our motto, I guess I could say. We've been speaking this for as long as I've been part of this place, and it's really important. And so tonight I'm going to teach you why those things are important. And so tonight's more than just about weight loss, but wellness, okay? So how many of you have been overweight your whole life or most of your life? Some of you are not totally overweight here, like you, but you guys in the back, yeah, I've been overweight before in my life. How many of you guys have friends or loved ones that are overweight, right? How many of you have diabetics or heart disease people in your family, or maybe it's you, right? How many of you are taking medication every day? Okay. How many of you would like to be healthier this year, 2025? How many of you would like to be healthier this year in 2025? Sir, you want to be healthier in 2025? You're the only one that didn't put your hand up. I'm just curious. I mean, you don't have to want that. That's okay. No worries. Okay, good. Well, that's great news because I have solutions for you. I have solutions. We know what to do and how to do it. And that's why you're here. You want us, you're like, Helena, give me solutions, right? You want solutions. And so as I teach you tonight, I want you to think about how you're going to work this through in 2025. I'm here to help you. That's my job, teach you and help you. So how do we take action steps after tonight so that you don't just go home and stay in the same routine, right? Right? Okay, so this, I just kind of summarized this, but basically, I'm going to teach you about what we use in our office currently to help people not only lose weight, but have wellness or get their health back, okay? So this is some of the well-known weight loss programs, right? Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers. I've never honestly heard of In the Zone. I don't even know if it still exists because this is an older slide. But those are the average costs back then of these programs. So you can see that In the Zone was the most expensive at $4,500. Theirs was 15 to 20 weeks long. There was no guaranteed loss, very expensive, not fat burning. Right? When you go through a program like this and you pay that amount of money, what body mass do you really want to lose? Do you want to lose bone mass? You want to lose water mass? Do you want to lose muscle mass? No. You want to know that you're losing fat, right? That's what you want. And so years ago, I did Weight Watchers when they just started the point system. You guys remember that? And yeah. And I can't remember honestly, because it was so long ago. I can't remember if I actually did lose weight or not. I feel like I probably did, but I didn't know what mass I was losing. I had no idea because I just stood on the number scale. That's all it told me was the number. And so that's really important when you're looking at weight loss programs to understand does the program provide you with proof that you're losing fat, because that's what people really want to target. Now, our patients lose between 20 and 40 pounds in 40 days if they do our specific weight loss program, okay? It's a program that's designed to put you into ketosis or autophagy. Autophagy really means body eat thyself. So your body will scavenge up old cells and things that don't belong and get rid of it. Okay. And so that's our specific program. It's tailored to each individual person. They're eating real food. They're doing all the things. They're taking nutritional support supplements to support their weight loss and their organs as they're detoxing as well. Okay, because in your fat cells, guess what you're storing? Toxins, right? So that's another benefit to the actual detox program. Okay, people often come off their medications, especially their blood sugar handling medications and their blood pressure handling medications, for sure. Okay, because why? Because when you get the body in better working order and you stop eating all the junk that you perhaps were eating, then your body just does better and does better. And eventually they can't take their medications because it drops their numbers too low. This happens very often. Patients who have pain due to being overweight, they tend to be out of pain or having much less pain when they're losing weight, especially men. I saw this a lot in really obese men. When they do this program and they do it well, they lose a lot of weight, sometimes even more than the 40 pounds. Women don't get as lucky for whatever reason. I don't know if it's our hormonal status or what, but sometimes the guys can just blow past women. And they feel so much better. Their joints feel so much better because these are men that are 250 and up to begin with. And our patients, right, when you lose weight and you feel better about yourself, you have better confidence, you want to go out more, maybe you go buy new clothes and you feel good, right? It's an uptick or uptone in their overall beingness as a person because they feel more confident, okay? So that's the specific weight loss program that we have. People can lose weight in our nutritional programs as well. And that's simply because in our nutritional programs, we teach people how to feed themselves better, right? Put better food in the tank. And we're guiding them with the exact right nutritional supplements that their body needs and the body is able to then heal itself because it has the raw materials to do that, the nuggets to do that with. And so therefore the body just gets itself in better working order. When a body is in better working order, it can detox naturally better. When a body is in better working order, the organs can function more optimally for us, right? For example, I once had a patient in this office, exactly, he was experiencing kidney failure. And so he came to see me, and this was several years ago, and we just did the usual. And I looked for things that might be stressing his kidneys. What do you mean by things? Well, I mean things like food sensitivities. Food sensitivities can stress an organ, and then the organ doesn't function properly. Things like toxic metal and toxic chemicals can stress an organ. Things like immune challenges, like bacteria, fungus, viral things, parasite things, right, can stress an organ. And when an organ is under stress and doesn't have the nutritional ability to handle that, then it can just stay in the organ and be a problem and cause dysfunction. So we're always looking for that. We're always looking for things like scars. Most people have no idea that scars can negatively affect how the body is able to communicate with itself. And so we're always looking for scars as well in our nutritional programs to make sure that if there is a scar that's impacting how the body can function, that we handle it. Okay, so there's several different ways in our office, in our practice, that we help people lose weight. The end goal, though, is overall wellness, isn't it? That's the end goal. We all truly want to be healthy. We just don't know how. We don't know what to do and how to do it, right? And so that's really important for us in our clinic too, in our office, to just help people to navigate that better. So how many of you been to a class or a seminar before and you go home and you learn some life-changing stuff and you never implemented it, right? It's like reading a good book or learning about nutrition and better lifestyle habits, but you never take any action to change those lifestyle habits, right? If we're sitting in 2025 January and we learn new information and we never take action to do anything about it, are we going to be in any better shape next year in 2026 in January's weight loss and wellness workshop? No, right? So I'm hoping tonight I can inspire you to go from awareness into action, whether it be in a specific weight loss program tailored just to you, or in a good nutrition program in which you can also lose weight in order to get your health back, okay? So this is what we're facing. I've been told I'm a bit of a fear monger, but I'm very passionate about what the environment that we live in and how the body is inundated with toxin. And this is why. If you look at this, 70%, oops, sorry. I'm moving my slide, but not yours. There we go. 70% of our food is ultra processed, highly processed in America. Okay. In that food are many chemicals that we're just not meant to consume. Okay. So even the best intentions of detoxifying can be a struggle, I feel. This is just based on my clinical experience and my own personal experience with detoxification. I heard just today that the FDA has now banned red dye number 3. Okay, so that's good. That's a start. Why they didn't go ahead and just ban them all, I don't know, because they're not allowed in other countries. Especially the European Union, not allowed there. Red dye number 3 is carcinogenic. They did take it. It's my understanding they took it out of cosmetics years back, but they left it in food. And so that makes no sense to me, but this is what we're dealing with, okay? We're being systematically poisoned by 70% of our ultra-processed foods. And if you don't know that, are you going to be able to make a good decision about how you're feeding your body? No, you're not, okay? So you need to know that. Americans spend 10% of their money on fast food. The average American, I think this number is kind of low, it eats 130 pounds of sugar per year. More than a third of us adults are obese. And in the early 2000s, this was, I feel like it happened before I even got out of high school, to be honest with you. So I don't really know if I agree with that. But 60% of all middle schools and high schools had soda and soft drinks in their vending machines. I'm told that's since gone by the wayside, but now they replace it with the Gatorades, right? And those are just as bad, in my opinion. They may not be loaded with sugar, but they do have the food dyes in them, right? So I have 2 athletes for children. And so as you can imagine, when we're at sporting events, especially for my son, parents like to bring all the things, right? The snacky stuff. And I always bring stuff just for my son. So, and occasionally I'll find him with a Gatorade in his hand, and even though he knows better, and I bring him his own electrolytes that are not poisoning him. And so, but these are the things that we're up against, right? I mean, the parents, they mean well, they just don't know what they don't know. And in fact, I had a conversation with a parent the other day about Uncrustables, because that was another one of the snacks. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I was like, yeah, Darius doesn't need one of those. He doesn't need one. Why? What's wrong with it? Well, let's talk, right? So we talked about high fructose corn syrup. We talked about food dyes. We talked about the crust, the bread. And she was just like, wow, right? You have to have conversations with people. They just don't know. They're not looking at food labels, okay? So yes, I am not here to fear monger you, but I do want you to know what we're up against, and what your children and grandchildren are up against. Because kids in our world are 54% of our kids are chronically ill. And I don't know about you, but I probably got a 54% upon a test like someday when I was a kid. Maybe not, I don't know. But I failed if I did, right? That's a fail. But nobody seems to be batting an eye at this, except for maybe one person now that I've been following for 10 years. He's the only one that seems to be worried about this. We're the fattest nation in the world. 69% of our population is obese or overweight. So that's the entire population. And it's the number 2 leading preventable cause of death. So let's talk a little bit. Well, let me back up on that note. We are supposed to be a Western nation that has the best of the best in medicine, correct? We've been told this at least my whole life. We've got Cleveland Clinic, we've got Johns Hopkins and all the things, right? Yet we're the sickest civilized nation in the world, really. And we use the most pharmaceuticals out of any other industrialized nation. That too, in and of itself, is a fail. And so if that doesn't give us pause to look within us and say, what are we doing wrong, right? How can we do better? Then we're going to die early, right? We're going to be sick and we're going to die early, because you can't, I believe, long gone are the days of growing old. And like my grandmother, bless her heart, she was 96, almost 97 when she passed. She had her faculties. She went dancing twice a week. It was just a shuffle, but she went dancing. Do you see what I'm saying? She knew who I was. She was a little forgetful, and she would repeat herself sometimes, but overall she was independent, could take care of herself. Then she falls and breaks her back, and it all went downhill from there. But long story short, what I'm really getting at is, long gone are those days where my grandmother never focused on her health. She never, she ate Spam and she ate, but if you think about it, when she was born, she ate real food. There wasn't all this junk. So the majority of her life, she ate real food. It wasn't until the latter part of her life that she may have introduced some junk. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think that really plays into her ability to have longevity. But we're not that lucky anymore. Our kids are already chronically ill, right? 54% of them. So they're never going to make it to 90 unless they put a halt to it, right? You have to put a halt to the degeneration or the chronic degeneration of your body. And what that involves is detoxifying your body well and putting good food in the tank, right? Eating well, thinking well, moving well. We also have to move well. Did you know that your thoughts have frequency? What you think about brings about. Have you heard that? We used to have that on our wall in our other office. And this is very true. And I think this has a lot to do with water. And I'll tell you why. This is a very interesting thing, and you probably are going to want to go home and look it up. I think you can find it on YouTube. But water, you can structure water. They've proven this looking at it under a microscope. And they've done studies where they had these waters over here. They spoke very nicely to, I love you, water. Thank you for hydrating me, water. I don't know what they said, but they spoke very nicely and lovingly to the water. And then they looked at it underneath the microscope, and there were these beautiful crystals, like you would imagine a snowflake to look like under, you know what I'm saying? And then they took this water over here and they spoke negatively to the water. And then they looked at it under a microscope, and it was all scattered. It wasn't beautiful. So water has memory. Some people say water has memory. So you want to ramp it up in 2025, speak lovely to your water. And we are a lot of water, are we not? Right? We have water in us. So I feel like that's what that really means. If we speak lovely to ourselves or be positive, it structures the water within us. Isn't that fascinating? Look it up. It's fascinating to me. Okay, eating well, moving well, thinking well. So what does eating well really look like? Well, you kind of have to turn. I feel like my slides are not in the right order, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. You kind of have to turn your known government food pyramid upside down. You have to turn it upside down. You have to think about primal ways of eating. What did our ancestors do, right? Our ancestors ate butter. They made their own butter and they ate it. They didn't go to Costco to buy it. They made it because they had cows and they had milk, or their neighbors had cows and they had milk, right? Butter was, in my course of my life, when I was a kid, butter was taught to my parents as a bad thing because heart disease, right? So when I was a child, I have butter. Then I have, can't believe it's not butter. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I ate through the rest of my childhood, because my mom bought the story that butter was bad for you. But butter is a superfood. Look at that. It's full of vitamins A, E, and K. I mean, it's saturated fat. Do you know what your body does with butter's saturated fat when you eat it? You make hormones with it. How about that? You make hormones with it. You need fat in your diet to make your hormones. Most women who come to see me, their hormones are a mess, or they think they are. They don't have a functioning thyroid. They're menopausal. They don't have a sex drive. They're stressed out all day, every day, right? They don't eat enough fat. Butter is a superfood. Don't let them lie to you. Eggs, another superfood that they lied to us about. They lied to you about the dietary cholesterol in eggs. Guess what your body's going to do with the dietary cholesterol in eggs? It's going to make your hormones with it. It's not going to store that dietary cholesterol in your vessels. It's not. It's not going to go there. You're going to use it to make your hormones. I guarantee it. Or maybe your brain is going to need it because your brain is half fat, half cholesterol. Okay? It's a superfood. Oh, sorry. Dang it all. There we go. There's the egg slide. My bad. I just wanted to make sure I had my notes with me, so. Yes. Yeah. You want the grains at the very bottom of your food pyramid, or at the very top of your food pyramid where it's smallest. That's right. We're going fat and protein down. That's right. That's a primal way of eating. That's how our ancestors ate. We were hunters and gatherers, especially before the Industrial Revolution. Okay? You have to think about this. So when they tell you that eggs are bad for you, I mean, look at this. They're full of vitamin A, D, E. The B vitamins are in there. You've got minerals like iron and zinc and phosphorus and selenium and calcium. I mean, this is a superfood. And then you've got the fat, right? You've got protein and you've got fat. I eat eggs every single day. I feel really good when I eat lots of protein and eggs. Okay? And I try to encourage my patients to do so. I'm going to come back to that. Because like I said, I think my slides are in the wrong order somehow. Okay, red meat. Another thing that you were lied to about. I had a patient just today that I had to explain this to. I said, what are your goals today in 2025? What are your goals? What are your health goals? You know, we were talking about it. And I said, I want you to try and eat more red meat. He's like beef? I'm like, yeah, I want you to eat more beef. And I told him why. I said, beef is packed full of nutritious stuff. I mean, it's got fat soluble nutrients. It's got minerals. I mean, look at that. All those B vitamins. It's got iron, phosphorus. I mean, it's a superfood. This is what our ancestors ate. You know, red meat. He had been told that it's carcinogenic. Have you heard that? And I said, yeah, I know. That's the narrative. It's also been told that it's hard on your kidneys if you eat too much of it, right? That's not true. It can't possibly be true because I have done a lot of diving into this, and people who eat mostly red meat, eggs, and butter have healed themselves of all kinds of ailments because they put themselves into autophagy and the body cleans itself up, right? And so, yeah. Neanderthal, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Right. Yeah. See, before the Industrial Revolution, we didn't have all this farming, right? I think today, this is just based on my personal experience and clinical experience. I think today, Americans, we want to be healthy, and we were listening to the propaganda. And so we're eating all the vegetables, and, you know, we're having salads all the time, and we're doing all the things, right? But what we don't realize, and what I didn't realize I was consuming too much of, is plant chemical called oxalate. And oxalate will definitely make you gain weight because you can't always detoxify oxalates. well, especially if you're consuming a lot of them and they're like shards of glass to the body. And we'll store that in our fat if we have to, right? And if you've got a lot of toxins in your fat cells, your body, no matter your best intentions, sometimes your body just can't burn that fat for fuel. It's like it's holding on to it to protect you. Does that make sense? The body's very wise. It knows exactly what it can tolerate. Right. And so that's why with our nutrition programs, we're able to safeguard that, put in some binders, put in some drainers so your body can handle the detox better, and then clean up the diet. And guess what? Then you start naturally losing the weight that you haven't been able to before. Right. Especially if you add good movement in there, you definitely can. Now, for me, I learned that my body does better if I move after my meals. My body does better in controlling my weight if I walk 30 minutes a day, at least 30 minutes a day. My body does better if I get morning sun. So if I can walk in the morning sun, that's even better. Or evening sun, because we have photoreceptors all over our body and that we need that sun, right? Another thing they lie to us about is the sun. We need the sun. I mean, we can't be stupid about it because we're too deficient now. Our ancestors didn't have to slather on sunscreen, right? But they weren't as deficient as we are. Okay, all those toxins that I talked about in the food, it's also, I mean, there's tons of toxins in the water. There's 50 chemicals in the water that we cannot taste or smell. Okay, including fluoride. And they just admitted that fluoride does lower the IQ of children. So join me in getting a hold of our city councils and our public supply water people, right? Board of Water and Light, whoever it is for you in your area. We've got to get them to take it out of the water. It doesn't have to be there. Nobody has a deficiency in fluoride, and it's not natural fluoride they're putting in there anyway. Okay, but I'm trying to give you like the scenario or what we're up against, because I think that's important for everybody to know that it's not like when my grandma was little. It's almost like we're being systematically poisoned with food, air, water, and then you take medications on top of that. That's not natural. That depletes certain nutrients. So we end up in this downward spiral of being far too deficient and far too toxic until we become symptomatic, and then we're still spiraling, and our symptoms are being stronger, and they're happening more often. Do you see what I'm saying? We have to put a halt to it. And the work I get to do here is putting a halt to that for people. And that feels really good because people need help. They're feeling hopeless today. I hear it all the time. People come into my office and they've been everywhere else, everywhere. And somehow somebody they know said, you need to go to Gilead Healing Center, or you need to go to Rassel-Daigneault Holistic Health Center and get yourself some help, right? And that's what they'll tell us that. I've been everywhere else. They told me I was fine. There's nothing wrong with me. My lab work looks good, right? They tell me I had all the scopes up here and down there. I had them all. And they can't figure out what's wrong with me. So they wanted to what? Prescribe me an anti-anxiety pill. They think it's all in my head. Do you know how many times I've heard that from people? And that just breaks my heart, because there's people that will take that and they don't know what they don't know. They're just believing 100% what the doctor is saying, that there's nothing wrong with them. It must be all in their head. That to me breaks my heart. Okay? So red meat. Eat your red meat. Eat your eggs. Eat your butter. It's a super food. Do not be fearful of it. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the weight loss program. Whoops, where did I go? There it is. All right, so our specific weight loss program, just so you know, it's a 40-day program. The meat of it is 40 days, and but it's a lifelong program. So there's 6 phases to it. We have a couple different options. One is called Nutritionist. The other is something different but similar that we're working with. And so I am the coach for those programs. I myself, or Dr. Jean-Guy at the other office, is a health coach for them too. And but the idea is to, like I said, get yourself into autophagy or ketosis, and that means you're burning fat for fuel. You're using ketones for fuel, and you're burning the ketones that are made in your liver. Okay, and so it's a specific program with specific nutritional supplements that helps you do that, and you eat in a specific way with your own real food that you prepare at home. And you come in the office every week and stand on my scale, and we discuss it, and you log all of your food for me, and we discuss how you're doing. You stand on my scale. It's a specialized Tania scale, and it will tell me if you're burning fat or you're losing muscle or water, okay? And so we monitor it very closely from week to week for those 40 days, okay? Very specific. Again, we have a couple different options in that program. So what I'd like you to know that tonight, we like to do a consultation with people to know what plan or what avenue is best for you. So we're offering a consultation to speak with myself or Dr. Jean-Guy for $49. You come in, we're going to stand you on the scale, and find out what your health goals are, your weight loss goals, and find out what's best for you, whether it be the weight loss program specifically tailored to you or good nutrition program. So this is going to be just based on your health history and what your goals are. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And this is also true for anybody watching at home. So this program also is designed to help with your metabolism, obviously, reboot your neurotransmitters. You don't have to do a lot of heavy, aerobic exercise or anything like that. I usually encourage people to just walk if you can, because walking helps with cortisol, which is a lot of times, particularly for my women that hold on to a lot of weight around their waist, that helps with that. So it's in conjunction with the program. They would be then walking, at least 30 minutes like I do. I'm a cortisol junkie. I, went through a very stressful period of time for about 2.5 years. And even though I was doing all the right things, because I've learned what to do and not to do, I gained 20 pounds. And I tell you this to say it can be very frustrating, because I know there's a lot of people, maybe you were one of them, but there's a lot of people out there that were doing the same thing as me. They were moving, they were eating good stuff. All their old tricks aren't working and they can't get the weight off. That was me. And it was because I was in a very stressful season of my life. And even though I was nutritionally supporting myself for the stress, I still gained weight. And I had to figure out how to biohack my hormones and my insulin. So I shared a little bit with you tonight what I do. There's more to it, but I eat mostly meat, eggs, and butter. And I walk every day, either on my treadmill if it's too cold, or I've gone to the mall, done the mall walking or whatever, or just down by the river trail, bundle up in the sunshine. And I move after my meals. For me, it's 40 squats at least. Most of the time it's 60, maybe 80 if I'm feeling really good and, not rushed. But what that does is it trains your body to use the glucose that you're going to get from your meal. Yes, even if you eat the protein, you're going to get glucose and then an insulin spike, and it trains your body to use that for fuel instead of storing it as fat. Okay, that makes sense? All right, good. So we have several options, really, is my point. We have several options for you. If doing a full program to lose weight seems overwhelming, because for some people it can, because you have to be disciplined. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You can't cheat on it. It doesn't work if you cheat, right? It sets you way back, and you're spending a lot of money for no results, or not the best results, okay? But, we have the freedom of choice. You and I, that's one thing we do have still in this country, thank God. We have the freedom of choice. You can certainly choose to walk out of here tonight and not do anything. Like I said, I've been guilty of reading a good book and trying to learn from it and not doing anything from it, right? I had that What's the rolling over your debt guy? What's his name? It's not coming to me right now. Shoot, never mind. I read a good book about how to get out of debt. Dave Ramsey, yes. I'm like, what's his name? Dave Ramsey. I read his book years ago. This was I was just out of college, and I was clearly in debt. And yeah, I never did anything with it. I tried, and then I stopped, and then I don't know where it went. Right? Right? We're human. We do that, but do we win when we do that? We don't win. No. It took me years after that to get it together. Right? I learned a lot of tough lessons when I was younger, as most people do. But we have the right to have a choice. But here's the outcomes. Well, you and me, we have 3 outcomes. I think I say this pretty much at every workshop because it's so important to understand. We have 3 outcomes in life. The first outcome is we're going to grow older, but we're going to die early of maybe heart attack or cancer. Those are the 2 leading causes of death, right? And we're going to leave our family wondering if they could have done something. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Nobody likes the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. After my mom died, I had the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Nobody likes it. Number 2 is you're going to grow older, maybe into your 70s or 80s, but you're going to not have your independence. You're going to be dependent on someone to take care of you, perhaps in a nursing home or an assisted living, right? You may be a burden to your children. That's one of my main goals. I don't want to be a burden to my children. Right. Maybe you're in a wheelchair. Maybe you don't know your children when they come to visit you because you don't have any memory of them anymore. You guys know people like this, right? I'm telling you, like, this is real. This is real. Option number 3, you grow old like my dear grandmother. And I truly believe had she not fallen, she'd still be here today. I truly believe that because she really was on very little medication. And she had a good pick me up in her step, which is probably why she fell. You're going to grow older. Wow. How fascinating is that? I want to know her secret, right? That's great longevity. Right, for sure. So, wow, nice. Yeah. I really feel like, if we want that type of longevity, we got to work at it anymore. It doesn't come just naturally anymore, unfortunately. So if I gave you the choice, which one do you want to be? Number 1, number 2, number 3, which one would you want? Right? We all want, that's no brainer. We all want number 3, but how are we going to get there? We have to take action. We just don't have a choice anymore. We can't sit idly. Our health is never stagnant. We're never stagnant. We're either drastically, or not drastically, but gradually getting worse over time, or we're working on it, improving and detoxing, and the cellular regeneration that we're creating is a better cell, a little bit better cell, and then a little bit better cell, right? That's healing. The body's designed to heal. We all know this. We just don't give it the credit it is due, and we don't foster our own healing because we just don't know what we don't know. Okay? So, with that, does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. Scars, yeah. Like a surface of the skin scar. Yeah. So when people have surgeries, or a big scar for women is episiotomy scar or tearing there during childbirth. But we find we're always looking for scars because it's important, because we know that scars cause dysfunction in the body. And they act as a capacitor to the flow of energy through the body. And then that energy can misfire. which also can cause problems, right? So we have a certain protocol that we use to handle scars. So when I've tested you over the years, I've always tested you for scars. I've not found anything to show up yet, but they can be deeper layers of us. So perhaps down the road, your body would be ready to show me that there's a scar that needs to be handled. Okay. All right. So you have the freedom choice. You have the freedom to walk out of here tonight and just go back to life as usual, or you can create some neuroplasticity and do something different, right? Do something different that's going to give you the results that you need to optimize your health, because you ultimately, you're in control of both your own demise or your own health, right? Outside of an accident, of course. But when it comes to our overall health, we really need to take control back. We can't put control in the doctor's hands. We're going to lose every time. I hate to say that. At least when it comes to chronic disease. I mean, if I get smucked out on Saginaw, trust and believe I want you to take me into the hospital so I let them put me back together, right? But when it comes to my overall health, I'm not trusting it anymore. I'm going to take control of it for myself. I'm going to invest in myself, because that's really what it is. It's an investment. You can't think of it as an expense. It's an investment. I would say try to stay on a low oxalate diet. So you can look that up, because that will help you. So you can try to stay very low carb. I would not eat fruit, because fruit is sugar, and our fruit has been manipulated over the years, over the decades, probably longer. And our fruits have way more sugar or fructose in them than they were naturally meant to have. And so we don't need all that fruit sugar, because it still feeds problems for people. Avocados are a good monosaturated fat. Tomatoes are more of a fruit, and they don't have high oxalate. Yeah. I believe it still does matter. I don't think it's perfect, because I don't trust that the FDA's label of organic is an optimum. Salsa, I only use a farmer's produce to make salsa. So in the summer, I go to the farmer's market and I talk to the farmer, and I get all of my stuff for salsa. Okay. And I make it. I don't go to the store, because again, I'm not 100% confident. I mean, I think it's better than the conventional tomato or onion or whatever. But I think for me, in my family, I want to upgrade. So I go and talk to the actual farmer so that I know how they grew the tomatoes and the peppers and all the things, right? There you go. Yep, exactly. Right up there. So that's for me. Asparagus is a great vegetable, low oxalate vegetable. I used to eat way too many sweet potatoes, not knowing that they were high in oxalate. I used to eat way too many almonds, not knowing they were super high in oxalate, right? I'm not certain. I'm not certain about that. But if you eat mostly red meat, eggs, and butter, and you can have other proteins too. I eat other proteins on occasion. Like I'll have fish on occasion. I'll have chicken on occasion. But I know with my body, I feel really, really good, and my energy stays nice and just throttled all day long when I eat mostly. So I'm not eating anymore for fanciness. I'm not eating anymore for oh, that sounds so good, right? Overall, I do sometimes, but overall, I'm eating to be satisfied, because I want to just have 2 really good meals a day. That's all I do, is 2 really good meals of protein, eggs, and fat every day. I'm eating between 30 and 40 grams of protein a meal. So roughly 60 to 80 grams of protein a day. My body likes a little more on the 40 side. If I eat a little on the 30 side, I can get a little hungrier in the evenings, and I don't care for that. So I just fast in the evening. I do intermittent fasting in the evening, which I find works better for me, because I sometimes was eating too late when I was having, when I was fasting in the morning and then having dinner. After I got home, I was eating dinner too late, and then I'm going to bed with a blood sugar spike and an insulin spike. I didn't want that, so I kind of shifted my eating times. Not everybody has to do that maybe, but that's what worked for me. Okay. I mean, you can convert that. You can look that up pretty easily. I don't know. I do have remind me next time you see me, I have a cheat sheet that I think would be helpful for you on that. Salmon, yep, exactly. So tell me what you learned tonight that you did not know. Anybody? I don't want you falling asleep, so I'm trying to make it a little interactive. I've got 9 minutes. Well, especially if you're putting a lot of, right, you're putting a lot of spinach and kale in it, right? A lot of people eat kale now. It used to be garnish, and both of those are high in oxalate. So you just don't know what you don't know, right? If you have a salad, and I'm not opposed to salads, just make sure you're putting protein in it. You're having protein in your meal. Especially the older you get, you need the protein. That's building blocks. I find that a lot of my patients, when I really look into it, they're not eating enough protein at all, right? Yeah, oxalate. I do some cottage cheese sometimes. You can do cottage cheese or kefir or yogurt. Yeah, as long as you do fine with dairy, you can do that. Yeah. Pork, if you like pork, you can eat pork. I just find that the nutrient content of red meat, whether it be beef, bison, elk, whatever, is so rich that it's way more satisfying than pork. But if you like pork, you can have pork. I mean, venison. Yeah, that's another good red meat. So you could do, like I said, asparagus. You can do broccoli, cauliflower, potatoes. There's no real. I mean, potatoes. There is nutrition in potatoes, but they're just starch, so they're just sugar. So they're not going to really help you with your weight loss because you don't need a huge blood sugar spike. You want to get your body to use the fat for fuel instead of the sugar, right? You want the movement if after your meals gets your body to use the sugar from your meal for fuel, but you don't want to overdo it, right? You don't want to eat a bunch of sugar or things that quickly turn to sugar, which is your bread, rice, flour. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So just think of, just look up some low oxalate veggies and go with that. Sometimes you can, I mean, there's been times when if I have a steak for lunch, I'll throw in a couple eggs. If it's not I don't need a side. I'll just throw in a couple eggs, hard-boiled eggs, or I'll scramble them or I'll over easy them. Yeah. Like, right. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go back to January 2026. It's 1 year from today. Did things get worse? Perhaps, right? What you're suffering with now, is it getting worse? It is getting worse, whether you realize it or not, because you haven't put the halt to it, right? Because our health is never stagnant. We're either slowly degenerating or we're actively working on it. We're investing in our health. And we're getting wins, and we're getting more wins, and we're getting more wins because we want to be independent when we are elderly and not a burden. And, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, back to the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Do you really want to look back on this day a year from now, 5 years from now, and say, man, I really missed the boat, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You want to talk about cholesterol? We can talk about cholesterol. Right. Normal cholesterol back when my grandmother was a young woman was like 300. That's where it started. And every decade or so, they just drop it down and they drop it down. And then the statins came in, right? They drop it down, drop it down, drop it down. Your body needs cholesterol. Most of the cholesterol comes from your liver, right? And it's gotten a bad rap over the years because every time they open up an artery and yep, there it is. There's the plaquing cholesterol, right? Got to clean that out. But is that really the problem? You see, there's a reason the cholesterol goes to the vessels. And that's what the medical model missed, whether it was intentional or they're just ignorant to it. Doesn't matter. They missed it. The root cause of why cholesterol should go to your vessels is because they're leaky, because you're eating the standard American diet, right? You're not treating your body well because you just don't know what you don't know. So the cholesterol literally is a nutrient created in the liver that goes to that leaky vessel to patch it up. It's a healing nutrient. And we've demonized it, right? Because every time they open up a clogged artery, there it is. There it is every time. It's the cholesterol. That's like saying every time I get into an accident or there's an accident out here on Saginaw, the police show up every single time. So it must be the police's fault, right? Like that doesn't make sense, right? Does that make sense to you though? Like, I mean, that's cholesterol just got a bad rap, and it was based on one failed study, fraudulent study, I should say, back in the day. Cholesterol is not your problem. Your brain needs cholesterol. You need cholesterol to make your hormones. It's a nutrient. You need cholesterol to repair. Okay? Now, having said that, can your numbers be out of balance? Perhaps, yeah. If you have a very stressful life, guess what? You're going to have high cholesterol. It doesn't matter what you do because you need it to make your cortisol, which is a stress hormone, right? Especially if you're not eating enough healthy fat like they tell you to not do. Okay? It's kind of a... If you ask them, they would say it's a combination. But yeah, you can have a heart attack because you've got blockage in your arteries. You can. But getting on a good nutrition program and cleaning your body up and every once in a while getting into autophagy can help that. Your body can clean up its own vessels. It can absolutely do that. You know? That's going to be how you're eating and moving. That's going to be helping you to burn the calories. Now, the burn the fat. The nutrition program or the weight loss program that we have helps you to do that with the supplements that you're taking. With that program, you don't have to do a lot of physical. I always encourage people to just walk. Because I know, especially if I know they're a cortisol junkie and they have a stressful life, I have them walk because getting their cortisol down will help them with their overall program. Yes. Yeah, there's additional charges if you should choose to do the weight loss program. The consult is just to figure out what's best for you and get some health history and look at your numbers on the scale, see where your starting point is. And then we can, kind of decide what's best for you and where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Well, with the weight loss program, it's all bundled into one cost. Now, as far as the nutrition programs go, if that's what's best for you, if we deem that's what's best for you, then that is a separate, there's a visit cost, a nutrition visit cost, and a supplement cost in that. And that varies from person to person. Okay, there's no set cost for that other than the visit cost is the same depending on your age. Okay. I'm not sure if we're running a special on it right now. I'd have to, I don't think we are. It's traditionally been $19.99 to start. And then if you're needing to lose a lot of more weight, then you'd have to do a second round, and then that's $14.99. So traditionally, that's the fees for it. Okay. Yes. And that's all the supplements you need and the coaching, and the coaching lasts longer than the 40 days because there's 6 phases to it. It's really meant to be a lifelong win for people. They know what to do and how to do it to keep their weight off in the later phases. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. But you did, right. That's why I say that is a healthy side effect of getting the body in good working order, like I mentioned in the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. You're doing great. You're doing it great. Nope, all 6 phases, and you have access to me as a coach through all, people still have my phone number. They don't often reach out to me in the later phases, but I think a lot of them should, because some of them fall off and then they get back into normal life and then they have to come back and do another round. But the goal for me, when I have people on the weight loss program, my goal is to get them to understand they need the nutrition program as their lifelong program to be well, right? Because a lot of detox can happen during the weight loss program, but trust and believe, my health, your health is like a big juicy onion, and we have many layers to us, okay? And so we have to continue to peel our health onion. And I've been doing that for 10 years now, and I'm grateful. I'm happy and grateful that I get to continue to peel my health onion, because I'm way better now at 50, almost 52, than I was in my mid 30s. Okay. Way better. Yeah. Right. So let's talk about the nutrition program in itself. So that's the initial consult is 2 visits. And it looks like the first visit is paperwork if you don't do it at home, a clinical test called a HRV, and that's a heart rate variability study, but it really looks at your overall physiological health and how well your autonomic nervous system is functioning, your sympathetic and parasympathetic. Then we do a body composition analysis, which is the weight loss scale, so that we can look at what your body mass is, where we're starting at, and it's just a trending tool. And then you come see me and we do the clinical testing. That's the muscle testing, where I identify for us what your nutritional deficiencies are specifically in your outside layer of your health onion, in a sense, and what organs are being affected by that, right? Because if you're deficient in certain nutrients, then it's safe to assume that your organs may not be functioning the way you need them to, right? And then I'm also looking for those root causes I was talking about, the metals and the chemicals. I'm finding all that stuff if need be. And then I'm building a nutrition program specifically for you. And then I'm sending you home with a food log, because every new patient in my office writes down their food for me, because I have to help you systematically improve the quality of your food, right? I have to walk you through it, and that's okay. That's what I'm trained to do. And then you come back for the second part of the initial consult. That's called report of findings. And we sit down and we discuss all my clinical findings. So you have a good understanding of what I found, how the supplements are going to help you, what the program, what your responsibility is as a patient, and what the fees are. Okay. And so you get all that information, and then you say, green light, go, let's go. And then we do your first therapeutic visit that day. So those first 2 parts they're the same fee for that. And that fee is $75 tonight. Okay. So I don't know if you know this, but most naturopaths, especially in our area, or holistic doctors, they're charging upwards of $1,500 just to walk in the door. Okay. So think about that for a minute. And people pay it. People do pay it. They're still in practice. So $75 for that. And it's normally only $200 for that first 2 visits. Okay. So that's because you're here tonight or you're watching at home. All you have to do is call our office, either office, and just let them know that you watched the show or watched the workshop tonight, or you were at the workshop. Those of you who are here, we could actually get you on the schedule right now and take action with that if you're not currently a patient. But if you're watching from home, that's how you would do that. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up for the guys watching at home. And if you guys have any other questions for me, we'll wrap that up too. But all right, so thank you for watching, and check us out for the next seminar.